Back with the protagonist and the others, Zepeto agrees to teach Jiam Ryang everything he wants to know with the condition that he lets her accompany them. Something the humanoid dragon easily accepts, although Dorothy opposes this, stating that there's something strange about her that can be seen with a single glance. With every trade, there are consequences, the dragon retorts, reminding Dorothy that those were words she herself told him before and originally what she would have told him. This puts Dorothy at a crossroads, and in her mind, she admits that Jiam Ryang is much firmer than she expected and may not be so easy to manipulate. She even questions if he's really an NPC. However, her train of thought is interrupted by Zepeto, saying that the phrase, "with every truth, there are consequences," is a famous quote, and before revealing the quote's origin, the protagonist tells her to shut up to avoid more humiliation. Although after her outburst, she sighs heavily and eventually agrees to let her accompany them. Dorothy thinks that it will be more advantageous for her to allow them to accompany her rather than being pushed back by the stupid impulse of these two. Although the protagonist adds a new condition to their deal, which is that Zepeto must repay all the money she stole from her, plus interest. Something that seems to annoy Zepeto, but she accepts. Or so it seems, as right after, she turns her face, forming a malicious smile that her companions fail to see. Now, at night, the group walks through a meadow wearing long robes that almost completely hide them. Dorothy scolds Zepeto, asking who could have the guts to steal a sacred and important gibang object like the tagubong. A move that the other girl notices is an attempt to extract information about her real identity and replies, "Unnai, trying to uncover someone's secret identity is not good manners." The protagonist defends herself, saying it's not like she has to know, but you never know either, as she could just be a brave old man making an accidental mistake or something like that. But Zepeto isn't worried because she proudly says that she's also as cute as the character they see. A statement that, when said out loud, seems to confirm to Dorothy that at least Zepeto is a girl. As they continue their journey, Dorothy complains about the long walk and reveals to the viewer that due to the tagubong that Zepeto stole, they can't use teleportation. So now they must wear those cumbersome hooded robes to avoid being discovered by the many beggars roaming the area. Curious, Dorothy asks Zepeto why they're heading to the Shaolin Temple, which she planned to steal from. To which the girl merely returns a confident look, saying that she should already know because she also intended to go to the Shaolin Temple. Is that so? No wonder this stubborn guide followed this girl, Jiam Ryang thinks, watching how nervous Dorothy becomes at that statement. Despite her embarrassed blush, the protagonist asks when she said she wanted to go there. To which Zepeto says that she can read her mind a little. "Since you were trying to find a way to teach Gong Bu to the older brother here, I can guess it wasn't easy for you to find a scroll. So you were trying to take him to a pun pan, right? And the Shaolin Temple is the only Munpa around here that's close to your level. It's very predictable." Such a guess leaves Dorothy in shock, and she seriously asks the other girl if she can really read minds. But Zepeto mocks her, saying that no matter how good the game developers are, telepathy is an ability they couldn't have included. Although she adds that it's not the most important part, rather the fact that they can't enter the Shaolin Temple at the moment. Information that seems to have been received and known by everyone else, except Dorothy herself. Dorothy complains, saying it seems like she's trying to start a fight again, but she still asks why they couldn't enter. Zepeto responds that it's because the site is located in the middle of Bong. This satisfies Dorothy, but it's Jiam Ryang who asks what exactly that temple is, in addition to the meaning of Bong Mun. Dorothy was about to explain when Zepeto interrupts. "Big brother, the Shaolin Temple is a very famous Munpa. It's an amazing place. It's even said that all martial arts originate from the Shaolin Temple. That Munpa is located in Songsan, near where we are now." Now Jiam Ryang understands what the place they're looking for is like. He then asks about the meaning of Bong Mun. This explains Zepeto, that the Shaolin Temple will halt all its activities and won't receive disciples or guests for a short period of time. Apparently, this often happens due to internal issues within the Munpa or the state of El Paramo, but the exact reason is known only to themselves, as it remains hidden even among them. Dorothy then asks what they will do, but while she contemplates her situation, she makes a joke. The Shaolin Temple is in the middle of a Bong Mun. The Shaolin monks are in the middle of Bong Mun, so is that why they're in the middle of Bong Mun? Such a joke makes Zepeto and GM Ryan cringe with embarrassment, with the dragon even thinking that this was a feeling he had never felt before since he left the demon castle. The blue-eyed girl doesn't hold back and tells Dorothy that if that was the kind of joke she liked to make, then she'll have to wait until she logs out to do them. Dorothy defends herself, saying that, in reality, she was just having an internal monologue. But Zepeto only asks her not to make the lives of the people around her more difficult. On the other hand, someone holds the large head of a wild tiger while eating its raw meat without decorum. That was Recap-kun, who had a much wilder appearance than everyone was accustomed to. He then ventures further into the forest, his gaze murderous. While the protagonist's group continued walking, GM Ryung suddenly stops to tell the girl that he has something to tell them, and that is that he needs a name by which to call her, knowing that he can't pronounce names well. This excites Zepeto, who quickly approaches the dragon to share her opinion. "That's a good idea, big brother. Do you happen to know how people in movies or books call people close to them by pet names? Other people can't do it, but I'll allow you, big brother especially. We need to think of a nice name. What would be a good one?" GM Ryung admits that he just needs names that are easy to pronounce, but says this with a big smile that shows he's excited about the idea. Zepeto also understands what he's looking for and asks if Z's would work. The dragon pronounces the nickname to try it out, and it comes out without a problem, so he accepts it, saying it's a good choice. Dorothy, who appeared rather detached, says she doesn't care about that and prefers to keep it between them. However, the dragon replies that GM Ryung is a name chosen by her, and he likes it, implying that to some extent he wants to return the favor. Blushing, the protagonist admits that she's relieved to hear that and comments that she's learned that using titles makes things much clearer. Something GM Ryung agrees with and goes on to deliver another one of his classic monologues. If it were just the two of us, two beings in this world, the need for names would decrease. Names are a form of recognition for a third and fourth entity. They allow the truths of individuals to be. "Stop!" Dorothy exclaims then, thinking that she has no idea what her ally is talking about. Fed up with it, she agrees to let GM Ryung name her as he wishes, with the condition that the dragon doesn't continue with his chattering. Although she admits she has no idea what nickname he could use. GM Ryung stops and thinks for a moment. He decides to use the same logic he used to name Zepeto and asks if it's okay to call her Dodo. Something the girl confirmed, blushing, saying that it's okay. In the real world, Dorothy is getting notified by the VR doctor that she has already exceeded the 17-hour progression, which can surely be dangerous for her health, and continues to recommend that she should take a break. She bickers on her own, while GM Ryung and Zepeto continue to move forward into the distance, and she feels like Zepeto must be rather weird for not logging even to use the bathroom. Soon enough, Zepeto marks that they have found the camp point, which surprises even Dorothy, as she wasn't expecting to reach this far already. Zepeto claims that they will be able to rest at the shrine for the day, and Dorothy feels like she will finally be able to relax and log out for the first time. As they enter the shrine, Dorothy is visibly shaking, and she notices that the shrine is bigger and cozier than they have initially thought, so they will surely be comfortable living inside it. Zepeto continues to check all the items in the room, and Dorothy asks if she is not about to log out or not. Zepeto seems visibly surprised to see that Dorothy is still present in the room and asks if the VR doctor really didn't say something or not. Dorothy continues to ask Zepeto about her logging out of the game, but Zepeto insists that she is rather refreshed and doesn't need to log out for now. Dorothy is unable to believe someone like that can exist in real life, as if she is a proper outcast who doesn't even need to eat or do anything worthwhile if they start gaming. Instead of being honest, Zepeto confirms that it is the sole power of motivation and adds that nobody can sleep in this kind of atmosphere, insisting that they should stay up together through the night. But Dorothy doesn't seem to be in her strongest suit. She falls down on the ground, saying that she should request GM Ryung to stay in here until she comes back. When she finally vanishes, Zepeto comes back to her real self and GM Ryung realizes that Zepeto wants to say something to him all alone. Now GM Ryung wonders why she couldn't talk to him about it beforehand while Dorothy was still in here, and notices how the atmosphere changed in an instant after Dorothy left. While some kind of uncanny feeling keeps lingering in the atmosphere, Zepeto claims that she is about to keep her end of the promise now as she was allowed to hang around with them in the first place. According to Zepeto, GM Ryang needs to know why Ma Mols and Pyongyins can't learn Mugong, and why only Yongins are able to use Muin. It seems that GM Ryang didn't know about it in the first place, and it is rather reflective that Ma Mols have powers that are their innate ability, so they do not need to train and are unable to also transform. While Zepeto is speaking of the difference between Mugong and Ma Gong, Dorothy gets her VR headset out of her head and begins to shake, assuming that she might have overdone it this time. While thinking of taking a rest, she moves forward in front of the clock on the furniture ahead of her and thinks that it will not be safe to leave GM Ryang together in the first place. She prefers to be safe rather than being in a dilemma, so she thinks of focusing on low-level alerts, so she is not disturbed by the VR doctor. After munching down a bunch of food, refreshing herself by changing clothes, and drinking an energy drink, she feels like her final preparation is now complete. At the same time, Zepeto is still lecturing GM Ryang about the door between life and death, and they confide in each other. No matter how much Zepeto speaks of the truth, GM Ryang thinks that it is not enough at all, even though she has given enough of an explanation. GM Ryang thinks that the explanation made by Zepeto is rather doubtful, as she might be wrong about the concept of life and death herself. In the middle of the discussion, GM Ryang realizes that he might be ruining his facade on his own, and Zepeto adds that Ma Mols never had the door between life and death. When GM Ryang thinks that he might be the same as well, only for Zepeto to point out that he has the door between life and death.